the stairs. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle.
What's up, everybody? This is Trip.
And I'm Jim.
And this is Dead Center, where we try to conversate, not concentrate, and get to the point. And today's point is Israel, yet again. But this time, they're going for the gusto, baby. And Donald Trump is bringing the gusto for them. Once again, we have Israel encroaching on land. Who'da thunk it?
And it's Syrian land.
Right, it is bordering with Syria. It's called the Golan Heights.
Which might as well be called Cereal right now.
Yes, I see what you did there.
Or Isria, as you said.
Isria. So the Golan Heights, in case you don't know what's going on, don't pay attention to international politics, blah, blah, blah. The Golan Heights is an area of Syria that borders with Israel, and Israel's tried to take it over the course of the last 50 years. They have occupied it that long, and they have said... in the 80s, they tried to pass a resolution that was in the 80s, they tried to annex it, and the UN passed a resolution that said, no. No, you're not going to do that anymore. And so they've been like, all right, cool, we're just going to kick it here. And the UN looked the other way at the Palestinian crisis. But anyways...
moving right along.
Yeah, moving right along.
Nothing to see here.
So now it is a time when this area is heavily occupied by jihadist Muslims and the Syrian army. They're fighting, and Israel's using a power play. Like they're coming in and they're not only helping jihadist Muslims. Think about that. If your head doesn't explode when you hear Israel helping jihadist Muslims, there's something wrong.
Are they doing it or are they thinking about it?
No, they're doing it. Like
so it's already the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, but you got to look at it on a bigger stage. The United States have been having peace talks with Al-Qaeda over the course of the last year and a half.
And that's who's there?
Yes.
That's interesting. And I mean, and we just left Syria. It's like we walk out the door and go, by the way, on our way out, that's theirs, by the way.
Right, and Donald Trump is now doing foreign policy from the toilet again.
Again. This was a tweet, right?
This was a tweet. And he might not have been on the toilet, but he might as well have freaking been. Good Lord.
I just always, anytime I read a tweet.
Exactly.
I just assume that's where he is.
Sitting on the couch eating Cheetos.
Or watching Fox News in his bed.
Yeah, like he's got to be. And he tweets a lot, so he's watching a lot. Like, he is the social media president. It's wild. In reaction
to this, Syria calls for an emergency UN meeting.
Right.
That hasn't happened yet.
Right.
And then,
but it has been rejected on the world stage. Absolutely.
Right. So the EU, who's been meeting like crazy lately, we'll get to that at a different time. Mm-hmm. But the EU essentially just took a quick break to be like, and tell Donald Trump he's wrong, and then we'll go back to doing our mess. And it's just like, so the UN, the EU, the rest of the globe has essentially gone, what? No, that line's been there for, like, since the 40s, so deal with it. And then they just, like, go about their business. Meanwhile, Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu are like, no, that's Israel now. So,
well, you got to look at it this way. Like, Benjamin Netanyahu needs a political victory after all this corruption going on in Israel on him. And all he has to do is look at his buddy Don and say, hey, man, help me out. And Don's like, yeah, I got you. Bet. You bomb Hamas. You bomb Iran. I help you. Like
the enemy of my enemy.
Exactly.
My friend. Not to mention it's a state we kind of created, but we won't get
it's a state that we have backed historically unequivocally. The point is the fact that we're once again throwing up a big middle finger to international law. Like, we are sitting here saying, yeah, Russia can't do this kind of stuff to Crimea that they're trying to do. Russia can't be fighting in Ukraine like they're trying to do. However, we don't like Syria, and Israel can have Syria if they like. What do you mean, UN? It's like the Dave Chappelle skit. Sanction me. Sanction me with your army. Oh, you don't have an army. I guess you should shut the up. Like, it's the same thing. Like, there is no difference. So I can't say that I'm surprised, but to act like the leftist platform, and I'm not a leftist, but this just seems like sound logistics. Like, you should value international law. Like, that's something we should pay attention to and not screw around with if we believe in our own sovereignty, right? But we've got all the money, we've got all the power and influence, so, and we run the show at the UN, so it's like, we don't care.
I feel like this is another one of Trump's little, like, declarations that the rest of the world just kind of goes, you can't do that. And he's like, well, I tried.
So we'll see. We're only a few days
Benny's coming
removed.
to town soon. Isn't he supposed to visit?
Oh, BB.
Isn't he supposed to visit?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure.
Just one of those like, hey, did you see that part of Syria I gave you? Well, I tried to give you.
Yeah.
It's a thought that counts.
This is very much a political. Because I mean, Bibi needs one. Their elections are going to be what in May.
Yeah, and he's facing the corruption charges for the nth time.
So he can say, "Look, I got us part of Syria." You know,
right?
That's damn near half of what we already have. So look what I did for everybody. And of course the Israel fundamentalists and Zionists are going to say, I knew it. It's our chosen land. We're the chosen. It's, you know what I mean? It's going to filter out that way. And say, and it's going to be it's going to be a big win. It might be. I shouldn't say it will be because we have to see how it plays out. And if the international community even allows this to go through,
which it won't. Like,
hopefully.
This is important because of how weirdly authoritarian it is from Trump.
Right.
How like he thinks that he has the power to just say this, which
I didn't say it, I declared it.
Yeah. But he has to think that he could just tweet this and be like, nope, see, half of this country and I now believe this, so therefore it is the case. And it's just, Israel can claim it, Trump can claim it. It's not like the Jerusalem move. It's not like that claim. Like, he did have the power and the embassy could move. He did have control over Congress.
The thing with the Jerusalem
who allowed the move to happen.
The thing with the Jerusalem move was a lot bigger because every president has had that power. They've just relegated, kicked the can down the road when it's time to make the decision on moving the embassy.
Because it's a poor decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Jerusalem is one of the Muslim ideology's most holy cities, and the fact that Palestinians and Muslims are being killed for even going into Israel, right? And being treated differently in the worst way, very oppressed. And now they can't go to those places because now it's owned by Israel. Now there's going to be Israel occupation and, the oppressive apartheid type law there.
In Jerusalem. But then this whole thing with the Golan Heights, it's slightly different because you're claiming that an area that's not even part of that country is part of that country, and the country that it's actually part of is going to be like, wait,
well, it's been occupied. It's been occupied similarly to what the Palestinians have been dealing with by Israel, right? So Trump's just basically coming out and saying like, oh, nobody else knows this. Oh, this is totally Israel. Like, you haven't figured this out yet? Like, they occupy it. Like, what's there to argue about? Sanction me with your army. It's what it is.
The point being that this move may just fizzle out. This move may stir a very big international problem.
Right.
It's one of those things. It's like, what's the best case scenario? Trump said something on Twitter and everyone's mad about it, but no one really changes anything.
Yeah. What's the worst case scenario?
World War freaking III.
Exactly. And in case you don't know why, who backs Syria right now, Jim?
Russia.
Right. And who just hacked the DNC last year, Jim?
It wasn't me.
Exactly.
You can't prove a thing.
It was probably a fat guy sitting in his mom's basement that weighs 400 pounds.
Mr. Vlad told me that it wasn't him, so it wasn't him.
So, but to be fair, policy outweighs talking points. And Donald Trump can be as nice and friendly to Vladimir Putin as he wants. The fact is, his policy doesn't emulate that or show that he is a Putin puppet, as the left right now would like us to believe. He's put armed ships on the Black Sea. He's armed Ukrainian rebels. He's tried to steal the oil deal with Germany away from Vladimir Putin. He's, directly opposing him in Venezuela. That's 4 right off the top of the dome that are directly in opposition to Vladimir Putin. So to suggest that this doesn't have major implications if Donald Trump doesn't watch his damn mouth, I think it's a fool's errand.
What it could do, I'm trying to play 4D chess with the best right now, all right? That's what I'm doing in my head.
All right, go ahead then. Jim.
And, all right, so, strategery, real quick.
Strategery, is that a word?
Global strategery. Okay. Bush said it on SNL. It was feral. Anyway.
Yeah, I got it.
So anyway, the strategy being that Trump can come out and say, mission accomplished. Bring the boys home. We're leaving Syria. We're done. And everyone in Syria can be looking at each other like, what? We are not done here. And he's like, come on, come back. It's okay. Come home.
This is Israel now.
And then it's like, well, no, because then think about the geography a bit. For anyone out there, Syria shares a border with Israel. That's probably the direction you're going to drag your 2,000-ish plus, 2,000 to 8,000, somewhere in there? Some kind of large number of troops. More than likely, their backs are facing Israel because that's where our support's coming from. Mm-hmm. So that being the case, where's your exit strategy? It's going to go out of Israel. So all your troops are leaving where we're fighting, and to my knowledge, I would love for someone to hear this and correct me, but to my knowledge, we were pretty spread out when it came to Syria. And the major conflicts that we were involved in were in the opposite side from Israel. We were on the opposite side of the country fighting ISIS. So we turn around and we say we're leaving. We try to exit out through the Israel's direction. All of a sudden you have a concentration of all those troops in the Golan Heights, in the area that our buddies are trying to say is theirs anyway. You have all of your people around you, even some of your own supporters saying, Mr. President, we probably should stay in Syria. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden it's like, I got you. I got everybody. We're actually staying in Syria, this part's of Israel now. Yeah. We're setting up shop right here. Yeah. And everyone's there. That's all I could think, is that this whole thing was a ruse because no one could know, and Trump was like, oh, but I can say it and everyone will ignore me.
That's assuming a lot of strategic planning.
Saying that he's a 4D chess mastermind is assuming
a lot.
That right there is a lot.
A lot.
So I'm trying to get on that level and hypothesize.
But if you were able to sit here and do this, you don't mean to tell me neocons like John Bolton and Mike Pompeo weren't sitting there probably like, you know what, if you do want, because Trump said he's going to do what he's going to do. Now, while they oppose that move, if Trump's going to keep pushing forward, they got to find a way to maneuver through Trump's BS. You know what I mean? Because they completely, so what you're saying holds water. I'm sure they stepped to Trump and were like, here's an idea. Because right. I'm not attributing mastermind level thinking to Donald Trump. I'm just not.
I mean, I could do the voice, right? And I could say Trump when I'm talking, but really we're talking about the entire executive branch.
Right, exactly. We're talking about, he has put people around him. He has gotten out everybody who's ever challenged him, from Rex Tillerson, General James Mattis. There's plenty of people that were around him that were like, no, Prince Rebus, and then again, the guy who followed him up. There's plenty of people who've been around him who were like, hey, that's probably not a good idea. And he was like, you're not a sycophant. Get the hell out of here. And that was it. So to suggest that he came up with this all on his own and there weren't people poking and prodding in specific directions to push this type of a move forward.
It's to be seen that if he's going to, or the executive branch, the commander-in-chief, mm-hmm. the head of the armed forces, while they don't have the power to declare war or declare wars or write treaties or negotiate treaties. That's Congress. While they don't have the power to do that, we're already in Syria. We're already doing things in Syria, and everyone that opposes everything Trump does would oppose leaving Syria. So by turning around and saying, by the way, that's part of Israel, everyone can disagree with whether or not that's part of Israel, but Trump can use that as and now we're going to stay in that part of Syria, and we're going to make it Israel.
It's foreign policy is so much fun. In a bad way, though.
It gives us words like cereal.
Yeah, that's about all it does in a good way.
That's the silver lining with all of this, man. Because a lot of people are going to die because he decided to say
my
this.
point is that the United States, this is right. This isn't something that is new to Donald Trump, to your point. This is neocon 101. Like, it just is. And I think that further reinforces your idea about it. This is neocon 101. Find people who are friends with us, give them help. And then it is what it is. Donald Trump, he said himself, hey, we're gonna cut back on military. We're not gonna let people do this and that and blah blah blah. $100 billion weapons deal with Saudi Arabia. Check. Israel, what do you need, BB? I got you. And that's how it's been since he walked in. And for the Republicans to say, well, American interest in the Middle East means that we should help Israel in anything that they want or would like to do. That's completely ignoring international law that we helped set up in the UN, no less. it's a stab in the face. A stab, not a slap. It's a stab in the face to a lot of civilians in that area. Straight up.
I don't think it's a stab in the face. I think it's more like a Gaddafi.
God.
You know what? I usually say no, but the one thing I do want to point out is this is probably not the last time we're going to talk about this one. There's a lot of those things that are on that scale
multifaceted.
Of, is this just Trump, being Trump and talking like Trump, or is this something more? And I feel like if all of a sudden we get wind of, hey, we're not quite leaving Syria yet, oh, we're in the Golan Heights, and oh, we're now helping Al-Qaeda and Israel take Syria. Like, are you serious?
Yeah, it's already looking like that.
That could be not only a huge deal, but if you add that to, and I mean, we like to get to the point, but if you add that to what's going on in Venezuela, what's going on in North Korea, with how Trump's been acting with these summits and stuff like that, if you put all that together, you could really look at that, if you are a fan of Trump, as, oh my gosh, this guy might accomplish some kind of level of peace that no one had ever been able to even fathom. And you also can look at it as, holy cow, this guy is going to crumble the globe. All that's to be said, that this could be anywhere in between, right? This could be extremely nothing. It could be extremely serious. But I find that it's probably going to be somewhere in the middle. I feel like one of these military moves might happen, and we're probably going to talk about it again. I didn't want anyone to listen to this whole episode and go, well, that was a whole lot of nothing, because this is something. This is not nothing.
Yeah, it's a very big deal. And when you look at foreign policy in the Middle East at all, it's all up in the air. Because what does a real peace treaty look like? Like, honestly, in the Middle East, you're talking about, these countries having their own sovereignty and leaving each other alone. Yeah, but what about the major atrocities that are still being committed on a daily basis by anyone on our side or the other side? You know what I mean? It's all up in the air, and it's all bad.
But throwing gasoline on the fire, like trying to claim that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel and we're moving our embassy there, or saying that part of Syria is now Israel and that we're going to back them with military force, which he hasn't said that second part yet, but that's the part two I'm predicting. Mm-hmm. I'm predicting a part two, which is, by the way, we're staying in Syria, but it's not actually Syria.
Yeah, hot take.
It's cereal.
Hot take. Well, hey, man, I'm Trip.
And I'm Jim.
And this is Dead Center. Y'all make sure to go check us out on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, any one of those 4 places you get your podcast from. Share our episodes. Let's start a conversation going on the Facebook page. And
tell us we're wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's remember to conversate, not constant hate, and get to the point. Love y'all. See you next time. Peace.
Well, I don't know why I came here tonight. I got the feeling that something ain't right. I'm so scared in case I fall off my chair, and I'm wondering how I'll get down the stairs. Clowns to the left of me,